The leftover that hurts you may not be sitting on the counter, it may already be inside your fridge. That is what makes this mistake so easy to trust. You finish dinner, save the extra food, close the container, and put it away. The next day, it looks cold, clean, and safe, so you heat it up and eat it because that is what you have done your whole life. But the fridge does not reset food. It only slows things down after the food gets cold. If the food sat too long in a warm car, cooled slowly in a deep pot, stayed on the table after dinner, or sat wrapped the wrong way, the problem may have started before it ever reached the refrigerator. And after 65, food poisoning is not always just a rough stomach. Vomiting or diarrhea can lead to dehydration, weakness, dizziness, confusion, and sometimes a fall. So this is not about throwing away every leftover. It is about knowing which fridge leftovers are not worth gambling with. Today, we are going through 5 leftovers that can look safe in the fridge but still become risky because of one mistake that happened first. And stay with number 1, because it is one of the most common leftovers in the world, but if it cools the wrong way, reheating may not fix the danger. Number 5. Takeout left in the car. This one starts before the food even gets home. You go out to eat, bring home the rest, and place the container in the car. Maybe it is chicken, rice, noodles, soup, seafood, pasta. Or a mixed plate from your favorite restaurant. You plan to put it in the fridge as soon as you get home. Then you make one more stop. You go into the pharmacy. You pick up groceries. You visit someone for a few minutes. You sit in traffic. Or the bag gets pushed to the back seat and you forget it is there. By the time that food finally reaches the fridge, it may have spent too long sitting warm. The mistake is thinking the food became safe just because it eventually became cold. But the clock did not start when you opened the refrigerator. It started when the food left safe hot temperature and sat in that warm middle range where bacteria can grow quickly. Takeout makes this harder because the container hides the problem. A closed box can trap heat. A large portion can stay warm in the center. A bag sitting in a car can warm up faster than you think, especially if the sun is hitting the window. The next day, the food feels cold, so your brain relaxes. It smells fine, it looks fine, nothing about it screams danger. But cold food only tells you where the food is now. It does not tell you how long it sat warm yesterday. That is the part you cannot see. This is especially risky with takeout because you do not know the full history. You do not know how long it sat before it was packed. You do not know how hot it was when it left the restaurant kitchen. You only control what happens after the container gets handed to you. The safer habit is simple. If you are saving takeout, go straight home and refrigerate it quickly. If you know you still have errands, bring an insulated bag or a small cooler with an ice pack. If the food sat in the car for a long time, do not save it just because it feels wasteful to throw it away. When you do store it, do not leave a thick pile of food in the same deep takeout box. Move it into a shallow container so it can cool faster. If it is rice, noodles, chicken, soup, or anything with sauce, spread it out instead of packing it deep. The common mistake is trusting smell. Many foods that cause food poisoning do not smell spoiled. Your nose can warn you when food is obviously bad, but it cannot prove food is safe. Before eating takeout from the fridge, ask one question. Did this food get cold quickly, or did it ride around with me first? If it rode around with you, reheating it may not be worth the risk. Takeout is the mistake that happens outside the house. The next one happens at home, usually after a big pot of something warm, comforting, and homemade. Number 4. Soup stored in a deep pot. A big pot of soup feels safe. You made it yourself. You boiled it. You know what went into it. After dinner, it feels natural to put the lid on the pot and place the whole thing in the fridge. But the middle of that pot can stay warm much longer than you think. The outside cools first. The lid may feel cold. The top layer may seem chilled. But deep in the center, soup, stew, chili, beans, gravy, or sauce can hold heat for hours if it is stored in one large container. That matters because leftovers need to cool quickly. It is not enough for food to become cold eventually. If the center stays warm too long, bacteria get more time to grow before the fridge can slow them down. This mistake often starts with good intentions. You may not want to put hot soup into the fridge. So you leave the pot on the stove for a little while. Then you clean the kitchen, answer the phone, sit down to rest, or watch television. Before you realize it, the soup has been sitting there far longer than planned. Then you put the whole pot in the fridge and feel like the food is handled. But if the soup cooled too slowly, the risky part happened during those warm hours. Thick leftovers are tricky because they hold heat. A thin layer cools faster. A deep pot cools slowly from the outside in. The center is the problem, and the center is exactly the part you cannot feel by touching the outside of the pot. Soup is also one of those foods people reheat again and again. You take out the pot, warm it, scoop one bowl, and put it back. The next day, you do it again. Every warm-up and cool-down gives the food another chance to sit in unsafe temperatures if it is not handled carefully. The safer habit is to divide the soup before storing it. Use shallow containers. Split a large pot into several smaller portions. Do not fill each container to the very top. Let cold air work around the food. If the soup is very hot, you can let the steam settle briefly, but do not leave the pot forgotten on the stove. You can also cool it faster by placing the pot in a sink of cold water and stirring for a few minutes. Then move it into shallow containers and refrigerate it. When you reheat it, only heat the amount you plan to eat. Do not keep reheating the whole batch if you only need one bowl. Heat that portion until it is hot all the way through. The common mistake is thinking one big pot in the fridge is the same as several shallow containers. It is not. The fridge can only cool the food efficiently if the food is stored in a way that lets the cold reach it. If your soup has meat, poultry, seafood, rice, pasta, beans, or cream, be even more careful. These are exactly the kinds of leftovers people save for several days, and they are also the ones you do not want cooling slowly overnight. Soup is not dangerous because it is soup. It becomes risky when a big warm pot sits too long, then gets hidden in the fridge where it looks safe. The next leftover is one of the most common foods seniors save, especially because protein matters more as you age. Number 3. Chicken that sat out after dinner. Chicken leftovers are easy to trust because they feel useful. A roasted chicken can become tomorrow's sandwich, grilled chicken can go into soup, fried chicken can be reheated for lunch, a few extra pieces can save you from cooking again, chicken can be saved safely. The problem is what happens after dinner. This mistake shows up during family meals, holidays, and long evenings at the table. Everyone finishes eating, but the chicken stays out. Someone wants dessert. Someone keeps talking. Someone says they might take one more piece. The serving dish sits there while the night keeps going. It feels normal because it is part of the meal. But cooked chicken still needs careful handling. Once it is no longer hot, it should not sit out too long. Bacteria can grow while it rests on the table. When you finally put it in the fridge, the chicken becomes cold, but the earlier time on the table does not disappear. The next day brings a second problem. Chicken can reheat unevenly. A microwave may make the outside hot while the middle is still warm. A thick chicken breast heats differently from sliced chicken. Meat near a bone heats differently from small pieces. A crowded plate heats differently from a single layer. So the risk can happen twice. The chicken may have sat out too long before storage, and then it may not get hot enough in the center when you reheat it. That is why chicken from the fridge deserves more care than people give it. For someone over 65, food poisoning from poultry can be more than a bad night. Vomiting and diarrhea can drain fluids quickly. That can make you weak, lightheaded, and unsteady. If you already take medication for blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, or kidney problems, dehydration can hit even harder. The safer habit starts as soon as the meal is over. Do not leave chicken on the table while the evening continues. Put it away early. Cut large pieces into smaller portions. Store them in shallow containers so they cool faster. When reheating, heat only what you plan to eat. If you use the microwave, spread pieces in a single layer, cover the food, pause halfway to move the pieces around, and let it sit for a minute after heating. That resting time helps the heat spread through the food. If you have a food thermometer, use it. Leftovers should reach 165 degrees Fahrenheit. If you do not have one, cut into the thickest piece and make sure the center is fully hot, not just warm. The common mistake is saying, it was only out during dinner. A long dinner still counts. A holiday meal still counts. A family visit still counts. Bacteria do not care that the evening felt normal. Chicken should not sit on the table as decoration after everyone is finished. Save it early, cool it quickly, and reheat it fully. The next leftover looks much less suspicious than chicken. It is plain, cheap, and familiar. But one wrapper can turn a simple potato into a food safety mistake. Number 2. Baked potatoes left in foil. A baked potato looks harmless. It is not raw meat. It is not seafood. It does not look like something that could put you in danger. You bake it, wrap it in foil, serve it hot, and save the extra for later. But the foil is the part you need to watch. Foil is helpful when the potato is hot and being served. It keeps heat in, keeps the potato soft, and makes cleanup easier. But after the meal, leaving a baked potato wrapped in foil can become a problem if it sits warm too long. A foil-wrapped potato can create a low oxygen space around the potato if it is left at room temperature after baking. That kind of situation has been linked to botulism risk. Botulism is rare, but it is serious. It is not just a normal stomach bug, it can affect nerves and muscles and may require urgent medical care. This does not mean potatoes are bad, it means foil-wrapped baked potatoes need the right storage habit. The risky routine is easy to picture. The potatoes come out of the oven wrapped in foil. Dinner ends. The extra potatoes stay on the counter because they are still warm. Later, someone puts the same foil-wrapped potatoes into the fridge. The next day, they look exactly the same. No bad smell, no strange color, no warning. That is why this one deserves attention. You cannot test a risky potato by taking a small bite. If a foil-wrapped baked potato sat out too long, the safer choice is to throw it away. The safer habit is simple. Serve baked potatoes hot. If you plan to save them, remove the foil before storing. Do not put foil-wrapped baked potatoes straight into the fridge. Take the potato out of the foil, place it in a clean container, and refrigerate it promptly. If you have several potatoes, cut them open or cut them into smaller pieces before storing. That helps them cool faster. A whole potato can hold heat in the center, especially if it just came out of the oven. When reheating, heat the potato until it is hot all the way through. If you use a microwave, cut it open first. A large whole potato can feel hot on the outside while the center stays cooler. The common mistake is thinking foil protects the food. For serving, it can help. For storing a potato that has been sitting out, it can hide the danger. It keeps warmth in and creates the wrong storage condition if the potato is left too long. Mashed potatoes and roasted potatoes still need safe cooling too, but whole baked potatoes in foil deserve special attention because this mistake is so common. People leave the wrapper on because they are being neat. They think they are keeping the food clean. For this leftover, remember one rule: eat it hot or unwrap it and refrigerate it quickly. If it sat out wrapped in foil, do not try to rescue it tomorrow. Now we get to number 1. This food is so common that many people treat it casually, but it is one of the clearest examples of why the fridge cannot fix a mistake that already happened. Number 1. Rice left cooling in the pot. Rice is the leftover people underestimate most. It is simple, cheap, and served with almost everything. You may cook a big pot with dinner, bring home rice from takeout, or leave rice in the cooker so it is ready for later. Because rice does not look like meat, people often treat it like it is safer than it really is. The concern with cooked rice is a bacteria called Bacillus cereus. It can be linked to rice and other starchy foods. Some forms can survive cooking as spores. If cooked rice sits warm too long, those spores can become active, multiply, and produce toxins that may cause vomiting or diarrhea. Here is the part most people get wrong. They think reheating fixes the problem. Heat can kill many active bacteria, but it may not remove toxins that already formed while the rice sat warm. So the danger is not simply eating leftover rice. The danger is leaving cooked rice cooling slowly in the pot, then assuming the microwave will make everything safe tomorrow. Think about the usual routine. Dinner ends and the rice cooker stays closed. Or the pot sits on the stove with the lid on. The rice is still warm inside. You tell yourself you will put it away later. Because it is only rice, it does not feel urgent. But a covered pot holds heat. A thick pile of rice cools slowly. The center can stay warm long after the outside seems cooler. That gives bacteria more time in the temperature range where they grow. Then the rice goes into the fridge. The next day, it looks normal. It smells normal. It reheats fast. Nothing about it warns you. That is exactly why rice belongs at number 1. The safer habit is to cool rice fast. When the meal is over, move leftover rice out of the pot or cooker. Do not leave it sitting in a warm rice cooker on the counter while you clean the rest of the kitchen. Spread the rice into shallow containers. If there is a lot, use more than one container. Do not pack it deep into one bowl. Put it in the refrigerator promptly. When reheating, heat only the amount you plan to eat. Stir it halfway through if you use a microwave. Make sure it is steaming hot all the way through. Eat it right away. Do not reheat the same rice. Cool it down and reheat it again tomorrow. The common mistake is asking the wrong question. People ask, was this rice in the fridge? The better question is, how long did it sit warm before it got there? That one question changes everything. If the rice was cooled quickly and stored properly, it can be a normal leftover. If it sat in the cooker for hours with the lid closed, the fridge may only make it look safe. Rice proves the whole point. A leftover can be cold, sealed, and sitting neatly in your refrigerator, but still carry risk because of what happened before it got cold. So here is the rule to remember. Your fridge is helpful, but it is not magic. It cannot erase time in a warm car. It cannot cool the center of a deep pot fast enough if the food is packed too thick. It cannot undo chicken sitting through a long dinner. It cannot fix a foil-wrapped potato that was left warm too long. And it cannot remove the risk from rice that cooled slowly in the pot. Leftovers can still save you time and money. You do not need to throw everything away. You just need to stop trusting the fridge as if it can fix every mistake. Cool food quickly. Use shallow containers. Put leftovers away promptly. Reheat only the portion you plan to eat. Heat it all the way through. And if you do not know how long something sat out, do not gamble with it just because it looks fine. Before you reheat anything from the fridge, ask yourself one simple question. Was this food handled safely before it got cold? If yes, enjoy it. If no, or if you are not sure, your health is worth more than a few bites of leftovers. Now we want to hear from you. Which one surprised you most? Was it takeout, soup, chicken, baked potatoes, or rice? Tell us in the comments below. We read every single one. And if this video helped you, please give it a like and subscribe so you do not miss what we cover next. Thanks for watching.